Okay, hello P4. So last week we looked at addition of fractions with the same denominator. So this week, obviously, we're going to look at now subtraction with the same denominator. So hopefully this lesson should be a bit more of a recap with last week's material rather than introducing something new. This one's not that more difficult. This week, I would also like us to all get onto the Zoom app for our Zoom lesson. We had only three people on Friday, so let's see if we can get the whole class. So let's start. So subtraction with the same denominator. So I had 4/7 of a bottle of water originally, and I drank 3/7 of a bottle after doing exercise. How many bottles of water does William have now? So it's the same as what we did last week in terms of we're separating it into our correct bits. So I have, this is my water bottle and I split it into 7 sections and I had 4 of them. And I'm now crossing out 3 of them. So I've got how many left? Well, I've got 1/7. So this is the important factor. Subtract the numerators if the denominator is the same. So William has 1/7 of a bottle of water now. Okay. So let's look at this one. We've got 5/12ths and 1/12. So we split it up into 12 parts and we've got 5 shaded and we're going to remove 1 shaded part. That leaves us with 4/12ths. Now remember our important factor, we always need to reduce the fraction to its simplest form. So I can divide both of these numbers by 4, so is 1 and 3, 1/3. Okay, so now we're going to add in our mixed numbers. And again, you can bet it's going to be the same operation. Kevin has 2 7/9 bars of chocolate. He gave 1 2/9 bars to Kate. How many bars of chocolate does Kevin have now? So we've got 2 full ones for this number here, and we've got split it up into 9 parts, and we've shaded 7 of them. We're going to remove 1 whole part and 2 of the 9ths. So now how much do I have left? Oh, bless me. So I do 2 minus 1, and remember my use of brackets, plus 7/9 minus 2/9. Why am I adding? Because I've split these numbers up. So I need to add them. I need to put them back together, add them together. So subtract the whole numbers first, and then the whole numbers first, and then the fractions. So I have 1 5/9. Kevin has 1 5/9 of chocolate now. Okay. So we've got 8 6/13 minus 5. So we're taking a mixed number and we're minusing a whole number. So we are going to minus the whole numbers first. So we do 8 minus 5, which is going to be 3. And then we add on our 6/13. Okay. So don't worry when we've got a fraction here because we're minusing the whole numbers first. Okay. So the whole numbers go first. For number 3, though, so we've got 4 9/16 minus 3 16. So we can't minus any whole numbers, so we minus the fractions first. Okay. If this fraction is going to be bigger than this one, then we can steal from our mixed number, but it's not. So we're just doing 4 minus 6/16. We can reduce it to its simplest form, which is then 3/8. The 1 5/6. So this is where it's really good skill to remember that 1 can be written as 6/6, 1 whole, or it's the same amount as this. So if we're doing 1 minus 5, 6, how many am I going to have left? Well, 1 is the same as 6 over 6. So I can just do 6 over 6 minus 5 over 6. I change the 1 to an improper fraction with the same denominator as the other fraction. Okay, which is 1/6. 2 and 3/8. So I'm going to practice the exact same again, but this time I'm only going to change obviously one of it, change one part. So I'm going to have 1 and 8 over 8, which is still 2, minus 3 over 8. And then I split it up, and so it's now just 8 minus 3. Okay? So 7 minus 2 over 9, 11. Okay? So how are we going to split that up? So we know that we need to change this fraction to an improper fraction. But we've got 2 here, so and this fraction. So we need to make it at least 3. Okay? So we need to change 3 parts of this to an improper fraction. Okay? And so I can do that and go either 3 parts, 4, and then have a big number here. Or I can remember my rule. Well, 7, I can just do whole numbers. So 6 minus 2, and then I'll do 11 minus 9. Let's see how it's written out. So there we go. 6 minus 2 plus 11 over 11 minus 9 over 11. Okay, and then that will give us an answer of 4 and 2/11. 5 and 3/10 plus 1 and 7/10. Okay, so here we go. We've got a good example. We need to turn it to an improper fraction. So now we've got 13 over 10 because we've stolen from that 5 to the 4, and we can now do our subtraction. Okay. We'll do 4 minus 1, which is 3, and then 13 minus 7, which gives us a grand total of 6. So we've got 3 plus 6 over 10. Now remember, we can simplify, which is 3 over 5. So it's 3 and 3/5. Okay. So there's all the different ways of having a fraction. Okay. Ted ran, so let's look at some word problems now. So Ted ran 1 and 7/15 hours yesterday. Today he ran 4 and 15 hours less than yesterday. How many hours did Ted run? So I've got this time here of 1 hour and 7/15 of an hour. And then today I've got 4/15 less. So what was this total amount? Sorry. So this total amount was 1 and 7/15. What is this reduced amount? So all I need to do is do a minus. 1 and 7/15 minus 4/15. So it's very nice and easy. 7 minus 4 is 3/15. Reduce the fraction to the simplest form. 3 goes into 15. So it's 1 and 1/5. Ted ran 1 and 1/5 hours today. Victor, he had $20 after buying a bottle of sports drink. He has $11.03 left. How much does the sports drink cost? So we've got this total amount of $20. Here's how much he spent. Here's how much he left. We're going to do 20 minus 11, 3 over 5. We've got 19 and 5/5 because we've turned one whole into an improper fraction. And then we're going to minus our 11 first. 19 minus 11 is going to be 8. And then 5 minus 3 is 2. 8 and 2/5. Can't be reduced. So sports drink costs 8 and 2/5. After buying a bottle of water, Lily has $14.01 left. What is the difference between the amount of money Lily and Victor have? So Lily has more or less. So it's going to be more because we know It was $8 and 2/5. She has 14 and 1/5, so it's more. So what is the difference by? Now we can just do 14 minus 14 and 1/5 minus 11 and 3/5. So this denominator is bigger, so we have to turn it to an improper fraction. So it will be 13 minus 11, and then 6 minus 3. So 13 minus 11 is 2, and 6 minus 3 is 3/5. So our answer is 2 and 3/5. The difference is $2 and 3/5. Okay, so we're on the last question now. So Simon joined a swimming team. His result was 2 and 1/20 minutes. The difference between Simon's result and the winner result was 9/20 of a minute. How many minutes did it take the winner to finish the race? It took Simon more or less time. It took him more, okay, because his result was 2 and 1/10 minutes. The difference between Simon's result and the winner, so Simon wasn't the winner, was 9/20 a minute. So it meant that he took longer. So here's Simon's time, and then we can see how much faster the winner was. So how do we work this out? 2 and 1/20 minus 9 and 20. So we're going to have to steal from this number here and turn it into an improper fraction. So we've got 1 and 21/20 minus 9/20. So then we just have, well, there's nothing to minus our 1, so we leave that on there. And then we just do 21 minus 9, which gives us 12/20. We know that can be reduced, or should be able to know that we can be reduced. Both numbers can be divided by 4, so that gives us 3/5, and that's 1 and 3/5. It took the swimmer 1 and 3/5 of a minute to finish the race. Okay, so this is the same, I think, as the last week's material, so not too difficult. Give it a go, and then obviously we'll go through this on our Zoom lesson as well.